Good afternoon. My name's Tommy Alligat. I'm the mayor for the city. It's my honor and pleasure to be here with you today on Veterans Day, as we gather every Veterans Day and every Memorial Day to celebrate all the men and women that have served our country. Today we're standing at Patriots Point, and the backdrop right behind me is our Veterans Memorial, a memorial with 5 flags that represent each service, and also the American flag, and also the POW flag. The POW flag that represents all those men and women that did not get to come home when they were supposed to come home. Some never came home. You see here, what we do is we take this opportunity to memorialize and remember everyone here. In our community, we love our veterans. Our veterans are such an important part of our community because not only have they served us and served our country, but they also, many of them, have come home to actually serve our community. Our journey to build Patriots Point begins in 2005. We began with a committee, a veterans committee that made up of veterans that worked diligently to raise the money to be able to build this Patriots Point, to be able to build this memorial. So the design, creating the design, building the memorial, all of those things were so important. This committee was strategic in helping us to build this special place. I want to take the opportunity also to recognize and to thank our City Council that understands the importance of veteran services and the veterans in our community. A City Council that has continued to be committed to investing in the resources necessary to support our veterans, our American Legion Post, and all of the parts of our community that actually help to support our veterans. With every veteran celebration, we always have the opportunity to have a veteran to come and speak. Today, because of COVID and because of this pandemic, we have the opportunity to make this presentation virtual to you. And we already know that thousands of people are going to be watching this video today. Well, I can tell you this, you are going to be blessed, because we have 3 veterans from our community, veterans that have served our nation, served in foreign wars, as well as now today serve our community as volunteers. These 3 veterans are very special, and they're still serving our community today. Dr. Richard Rosenberger has been a veteran that served in Vietnam, and today he's been on Main Street practicing as a medical doctor on Main Street. He's been our hometown physician for the last 45 years. Dallas Godfrey served in Vietnam, also has served in our community as a volunteer, life-changing volunteer doing many special things in our community, and serves our community today. You're going to be blessed to hear from Dallas Godfrey today. And then also on our police department is Corporal Youlanda McIntosh. Once again, has served our country, and now she serves our community, keeping our community safe as an Acworth police officer. You're going to be really blessed. You know, for all of us, we all have a story, but these stories are special stories. They're stories about how these individuals, these special people, have served the nation to help keep all of us free, and also have come home to serve our community.
Well, I grew up in Southern California in the 50s, and went to college. I always wanted to be a doctor, so I was pre-med, and then got into med school and got through that. It's in the middle of my internship residency at the Texas Medical Center, and got drafted because I didn't get the barrack plan. And so had to report to Fort Sam Houston, San Antonio. And then they made me into a flight surgeon, so I had to go to Alabama, Fort Rucker, and learn how to fly a helicopter and fixed wing and things like that. Aviation medicine. Learned some things. And from there, went to Vietnam. 1968 when I had to go, and I was a captain, and so we landed in Saigon and Tanzania, and took the chopper down to Kanto in the Delta, which is sort of like New Orleans. It's a Delta city with the big rivers going through it, Mekong River, and it's a real pretty area. And I was at a MASH hospital there. We had an Army base. The Navy was there with the little swift boats going up down the river. So they were a presence, and the Air Force had a base there. So it's pretty populated. Yeah, it was a pretty secure area. We had a pretty big perimeter, but we would get shelled, 3 or 4 nights a week. And we had hooches that were screened in, basically, and we had sandbags all around. And there was a bomb shelter that was surrounded by sandbags that we could run to. And we could watch the Air Force jets circling the perimeter, and they would shoot bullets down, just massive bullets. They had these spookies, that were Douglas DC-4s, just armed to the teeth. So we felt pretty secure. So that was a secure area. I was also an airfield surgeon at a little place called Vinh Long Airfield, and that's where the helicopter battalion was, and fixed wing, Chinooks, and Cobras. So I was taking care of those aviators and the mechanics and all the support people. Plus the Vietnamese, they used our clinic more than the GIs did. So we actually had a Vietnamese clinic that we were treating, and we took care of orphans at the orphanage. Go over there and treat them medically, Huge number of kids homeless, without parents. It's very tragic. And then I had duties there, and I also was a flight surgeon, so I had an aviation battalion that I was attached to that I had to serve, And it was a privilege to serve them. It was a great experience. Wonderful guys. And we had a Huey company and Cobra gunship company, and fixed wing with beavers and bird dogs. I got to fly in the back seat. That was a great thrill. On missions, some of the missions, we went to Cambodia, to fire bases where we weren't supposed to be. It was a big secret. But it was real interesting. Flying in there, the lead helicopter, we'd have our lights on to draw fire, and then the helicopter, the gunships would be behind, waiting for somebody to shoot at us. And it was exciting. Well, you sort of get used to it. It's just part of the job. So it's exciting. It's the juices going. Wow. I wouldn't trade it for anything now, looking back. Those guys, there were some brave guys out there taking fire, and these fire bases, it was the loudest noise I've ever heard in my life, flying into these fire bases. How inspirational the other vets were. You try to make the best of a bad situation. Probably nobody want to be there. And you try to turn it into a good thing. It's very emotional. I still feel it. You learn a lot about life. Kind of fast. And I would recommend it to anybody. I was thinking about making a career out of it. I enjoyed it so much. And then I got going up here, you know, and I fell in love with this area, so I decided, well, I like Acworth and around the lake area. People can't beat it. I was at Fort McPherson Army Hospital, and we would travel up to the lake to water ski and just hang out, recreation. So I loved the area. I got to know some of the people in town, the Woodstock area, and of course I thought I would probably go back to California, but after a lot of thinking, people in this community you cannot beat anywhere in the world. This is the greatest place to live and work, any place I've ever seen. And so I'm so happy that I decided to stay here. Dr. Cabo was very, very generous and welcoming to help. He was pretty busy. So this area seemed underserved medically. So I thought, well, I'll stay a while and see how it goes. Been here 50 years almost next year.
And
I haven't regretted a minute. I still wear my Vietnam pin every day. It's a defining experience for the rest of your life, you know. I went to the Vietnam opening memorial in Washington and saw the 57,000 names there, and some of those guys I knew.
I was born in Fort Jackson, South Carolina. I was an Army brat. And then my daddy was a retiree from the Army, and we moved around all my young life. And then when I was in the 6th grade, he retired. And so I went to school in Atlanta, North Atlanta. And when he retired, they bought some land up here on the lake, and we built a place up there. That was like our weekend getaway. And so then moving on in the years, when I graduated from high school, I decided to go to Reinhardt College the fall semester of '68. And I went up there and had a great time. Wasn't school time, but it was school time. But anyway, I figured out by December it wasn't for me. So I decided to stay out for the winter quarter. And so as soon as I did in January, I got my draft notice. And my daddy says, no, you're not going to get drafted. You got to go volunteer. So I did. Went and volunteered. Went down to Ponce de Leon at the induction center there. Got on a bus, and they bused us to Fort Benning for my basic training. So I went through 12 weeks of basic training down there. And then I left there and went to Fort Polk, Louisiana for infantry training. And that was another 8 weeks down in the jungles of Louisiana. And it was quite interesting there. That's where you get your hardcore infantry training. They sent us out on bivouac for 2 weeks and gave us compasses and all the tools we needed, and left us and says, okay, you got 2 weeks to get back to the base, or to the post. So, and we did. All of us made it back safely. And then after that, I was a holdover there at Fort Polk for about 3 weeks. Then I got orders to go to Fort Gordon in Augusta, and that was for the communications training. And I was a 74 Bravo there. I had a primary of a 74 Bravo, a secondary of 11 Bravo. 11 Bravo was the infantry, and the 72 Bravo was communications. In '69, I went to Vietnam, and I ended up being a communications specialist once I got there, and I was attached to the 44th Signal Brigade, and so I was supposed to have been a comm center specialist, but that didn't work out. The comm center was full, so I ended up going back to the infantry and doing guard duty, a perimeter guard at Tunsanute, and then I left Tunsanute and went to Long Bend, and at Long Bend I was guard duty there also, and so time rocked on. We'd have like we had a little cycle that would go, and we'd have to go outside the fence at Long Bend and go through the jungle there because we was down in the Delta, and we would basically look for tunnels and look for signs of the North Vietnamese troops being in the area. And we'd go on like a 5-day trip around the perimeter, and then we'd eat K rations and all that stuff. We slept out under the jungle at night and that type of stuff. So, we drank water out of muddy streams. Put your little pills in it and it turned white. I was very, very fortunate. I got in some ground fights, firefights, but I was lucky not to be up in the northern section of Vietnam because that's where all the real bad casualties and everything was up in the mountainous area. But down in the Delta, we'd have tromps through rice paddies, and it was an experience for a 19, 20-year-old kid. I come back in May of 1970, and I was sent back to Fort Gordon, and I had I think eight months left in service then, and so I stayed at Gordon in a holdover thing. By this time I was an E5, and so I stayed in a holdover squadron, and I was like the barracks sergeant. We just did KP duty. They did, I didn't. KP duty and painting of the old wooden barracks, because we was all in the old 2-story wooden barracks in all 3 places I was stationed back then. And it was an experience. And when I came home from there, and in May, I got back May 7th, and toward the end of May, I met my wife, Ernestine, and we got married. A year and 4 months later, we got married. 5 months. Been happy ever since. I worked for GM down in Doraville for a short stint, and then after 5 years after I got my DD-214, which took a total of 6 years from '69. So in '75, I got my DD-214, and I waited another 3 or 4 years before I went back into the Air Force Reserves at Dobbins. And I was working at GM at the time, and I worked there I was in the reserves system about 2.5 years. And then I left GM because the car business got bad and was laying us off all the time. And so I went back to an art position with the Air Force Reserves. And that was a full-time job, full-time wearing a uniform. And I spent 28 years and retired from the Air Force in 2018. December 2018, I retired from the Air Force after 28 years, and I had 6 years in the Army. First of all, I love Acworth, 100%. We have deep roots here. And now I love the way the town's laid out. I really do. It's impressive. All of our friends that don't live in Acworth wants to come to Acworth. I guess the first thing was ever in was a 4-Watt CB club. It was established in 74. I think it went through 82, 83 before it finally just died out. And in 78, I joined the Masonic Lodge here in Acworth. And Allatoona Charities was formed, like I said, as a Shrine Club in 1979. We had a 90-day permit to be, and we got disbanded. And rather than just disband and not have nothing, we already had assets. Pete Broomfield was our president back then, and we got together and said, well, let's just incorporate into something else. And they said, well, what are we going to call us? And we come up with the name Allatoona Charities Incorporated. And so that's what we've stuck with all these years. We do the downtown cruises with them when we can have them. And when we started, it was hard to get 25 cars up here. You had to beg and plead, borrow, and promo some stuff just to get them up here from Marietta. Couldn't get nobody out of Cartersville. They wouldn't come south. Kenton wouldn't come up here. And now we got them coming from South Atlanta, East Atlanta, West Atlanta, north all the way to Dalton. It comes down here. Jasper, people from Jasper come. People from Cumming come over here. People from South Atlanta, Clayton County, all down in there come up here. I get calls all the time. The mayor asked me if I would come and serve on the committee for the Veterans Memorial. And naturally I told him yes. And we had several planning meetings and drawings and all that. And this finally came up with a drawing that we got down there now. And it has been the best thing. Probably the most rewarding one that I've been a part of, doing everything I've done here in Acworth. I've always been a caregiver, and charity, we've always had charity, But I really enjoyed being on that committee with other members, and I enjoy it when I can come to the services up there. I've told people all my life that everybody's not programmed or meant to be a defender. And that is the honest truth. I don't hold it against no one that's never gone into the service. I have my opinions. I think that everybody in America should serve at least 2 years in the military. Don't matter which branch. It teaches you a lot. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you economics, because you have to learn to live on your own. It teaches you responsibilities. And I tell everybody, I went into the Army at 19 as a kid and came back from Vietnam as a man.
I'm originally from New York. I lived there until I was about 15, moved to Jacksonville, Florida. Stayed there till I graduated and married for the first time. Left there and went to Louisiana. My ex-husband was in the Navy, so he got out of the Navy and joined the Army, so we were stationed at Fort Polk, Louisiana for a few years. Over 3 marriages, I have 3 daughters, 2 grandchildren. I lived in Alaska for 3 years before coming to Georgia, being stationed at Fort Stewart. And once my ex-husband got out of the Army, we moved and relocated to Acworth, and this has been home since 2004. So I joined the United States Army in 1996 at the age of about 19, and I was stationed at Fort Polk, Louisiana. I went through basic training in Anniston, Alabama. Everybody gets a kick out of why I joined the Army. So I am my mother's only child and my father's baby, and nobody thought that a spoiled brat could stand to be told what to do on a regular basis, so I joined the Army on a bet. I wanted to prove them wrong, so I made it through basic training and served for 3 years active duty. And it's funny because one of my drill sergeants is actually lives here in Acworth now from basic training. And so when I joined and went through basic training, I smiled all the time. So they kept telling me, and he nicknamed me Smiley. And they kept telling me, we're gonna keep you from smiling. We're gonna get rid of that smile. We're gonna knock that smile off your face. And every time a drill sergeant saw me, I had to do push-ups. So I never failed my PT test because I had to push every time a drill sergeant saw me because I smiled a lot. And even when I got to my duty station, that name carried on, and I just smiled all the time. I think people believe that anybody can join the military, whether it's Air Force, Army, it's really not for everyone. It takes a mindset, because you have, first of all, you have to get past basic training and the yelling and the challenges that come with the PT and all the different training. So it's a mindset. It's not a cakewalk, but I think it serves a lot of people good to have been through basic training and to serve some time, because you learn a lot of discipline. Well, I come from a military background. My dad, my grandfather, one of my grandfathers, a couple of my uncles. So joining the military, even though I did it on a bet, it meant a lot to serve, to serve my country, to serve alongside people that their country meant as much to them as it did to me. Even now, as a police officer, giving back to the community, just being a part of a community that supports us and loves us so much, it means a lot. So when we moved here in 2004, my ex-husband was a contractor, and I was constantly looking for a job, something to get him to stay home, benefits and financially. So I kept applying, and I didn't know until after my interview that my application and resume was actually going to court services. Misty kept getting it, and I guess she forwarded it to HR. But I finally got on, and I started off in the jail. I worked in the jail. I was actually only in the jail for about 6 months before I interviewed for patrol. And after about a year, I finally got to go to the police academy. And in November of 2009 is when I became a sworn officer. I did patrol for about 5 years before I moved on to community outreach, and I served in that position for about 6 years, which, coming from patrol, and Chief never lets me forget this. When he became chief, he had a long conversation with each shift, pretty much the whole department. And one of the things I said to him was, we're not here to make friends. And I ended up in community outreach, and I made a lot of friends in that position. And so that was a great transition for me in this career, because I got to know a lot of people. I got to hang around the kids and let everybody know that despite what they might hear in the news or, just in passing, that all police aren't bad. And for our community, with everything that has been going on from the police shootings and killings, I have to say that Acworth has been one of the most fortunate places, and I don't think I could want to work anywhere else or be more blessed to be a part of this department at this time. We have so much support from our community, from the teachers, the businesses, and just the residents. They bring us things. They always thank you for your service. I couldn't ask for a better department or a city to work for in right about now. But it's appreciated. Like I said, during this time, before, when everything was just normal and people said thank you for your service, sometimes it's like, okay. But now, again, like I said, we're fortunate. We have, some of our neighboring agencies that aren't very well liked like we are. So it's literally a blessing.
I told you were going to be blessed. Think about the words and the stories that you've heard. Think about the heart of these people that have served our community and served our nation. As we close today, I want to remind you, each one of you, if you are a veteran, that we want to thank you for your service. If you're not a veteran and you know a veteran, make sure you thank them today for their service. As we stand here at Patriots Point today, we stand on hallowed ground. Remember when we started, we talked about how we have in this mezzanine pavers that represent each branch of service. And within the pavers, if you come and you stand here as I'm standing today, you'll be standing most likely next to a paver that has someone's name on it, someone that has served our country. This is a special place, because many of these pavers that we're looking at right here, many of these people are not here anymore. My dad has a paver right close here, United States Navy, World War II. He's gone to heaven, but he's forever memorialized right here in this special place at Patriots Point. And for all of you, I invite you, if you don't have a paver, to contact the Acworth Parks and Recreation Department to find out how to be able to give a veteran, a special person in your life, a paver. It's a gift that will always be given to them. And as we close today, I want to take this opportunity again to thank all of you for your service. Thank all of you for your service. You know, in the city of Acworth, we love our veterans, and we love each one of you, and we are so thankful that you have given so much to give us freedom that we enjoy today. May God bless each one of you.